Once upon a time in a small village in ancient India, there lived a young man named Arjun. He was known for his good heart and dedication to his family and community. However, Arjun had a secret love, a girl named Leela who lived in a neighboring village. Leela was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen, with eyes that sparkled like the stars and a smile that lit up the world around her. Arjun had loved Leela for as long as he could remember, but they were separated by distance, and he was afraid that time and distance would make him forget his love for her. One day, Arjun decided to seek the advice of the wise sage who lived in the nearby mountains. He had heard that the sage had the answers to all of life's questions and hoped that the sage would be able to help him with his love for Leela. So Arjun set out on a journey to find the sage. After many days of traveling, he finally arrived at the sage's cave. The sage welcomed him and asked him what he was seeking. Arjun told the sage about his love for Leela and his fear that time and distance would make him forget her. The sage listened patiently and then said, "My son, if you really love someone, time and distance will not make you forget them. Love is a powerful force that can transcend all obstacles." Arjun was confused and asked the sage how this could be possible. The sage smiled and said, "Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a king who had a son. The king loved his son more than anything in the world but was worried about what would happen to his son when he died. So he decided to find a way to make sure that his son would always remember him, no matter what happened. The king called upon the greatest sculptor in the land and asked him to create a statue of the king. The sculptor worked tirelessly, and after many months, he created a beautiful statue of the king. The king was pleased with the statue and asked the sculptor to make an identical statue of his son. The sculptor worked even harder on the second statue, but he found it difficult to capture the essence of the young prince. He could not capture the love and admiration that the prince had for his father. Finally, after many attempts, the sculptor had an idea. He placed a small mirror in the chest of the statue so that when the prince looked at it, he would see his own reflection. The king was pleased with the sculptor's solution, and he had the statue placed in the prince's room. Years passed, and the king died. The prince was heartbroken but continued to look at the statue every day and saw his own reflection in the mirror. He realized that the love he had for his father was not in the statue but in his own heart. And he knew that his father's love for him was also in his own heart. So you see, my son, love is not something that can be captured in a statue or a painting. Love is something that lives within us, and it can never be forgotten. Arjun was amazed by the sage's words. He realized that his love for Leela was not something that could be measured by time or distance. It was something that lived within him, and it would never fade away. Arjun returned to his village, feeling more confident than ever in his love for Leela. He wrote her a letter expressing his love and devotion to her, and Leela was overjoyed to receive the letter from Arjun. She had secretly loved him for years but had been too shy to tell him. She wrote back to him, expressing her own love and admiration for him, and they began a correspondence that lasted for many months. Even though they were separated by distance, their love for each other continued to grow stronger every day. They wrote to each other about their hopes and dreams, and about the small things in their daily lives that brought them joy. Eventually, Arjun realized that he could no longer live without Leela. He decided to travel to her village and ask her to marry him. He set out on the journey, filled with hope and anticipation. The journey was long and arduous, and there were many obstacles along the way. But Arjun's love for Leela gave him the strength to persevere. He arrived in her village exhausted but exhilarated. Leela was overjoyed to see him, and they embraced each other tightly. Arjun asked her to marry him, and she said yes. They were married in a simple ceremony surrounded by their families and friends. They lived happily together for many years, and their love for each other continued to grow stronger with each passing day. They had children and grandchildren, and they watched them grow up with pride and joy. Arjun and Leela knew that their love for each other had transcended all obstacles, and they were grateful for the wise words of the sage who had helped them to understand the true nature of love. In the end, Arjun and Leela passed away, but their love continued to live on in the hearts of their children and grandchildren, and their story became a legend in the village, inspiring other young lovers to believe in the power of love. The moral of the story is that if you truly love someone, time and distance will not make you forget them. Love is a powerful force that can transcend all obstacles. It lives within us, and it can never be forgotten. If you believe in the power of love, then you can overcome any obstacle and find true happiness in life.